Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast in Australia. I hope wherever you are in the world tonight, listening and watching our show, that you're finding some sort of peace out of this amazing week that we've had with so many places in such turmoil. And I really do want to sort of open the show with another prayer for Texas and their clean up and everything that they're going through there. But for every other part of the world that's going through some weather event, I think we should all just sort of take a little minute and sort of send a prayer and send our healing towards everybody that may be needing it at the moment. Here on the Gold Coast, it's an absolutely amazing spring day as the weather's warming up, the wind's still blowing a little bit, but who can complain about that? We've got beautiful sunshine and we've got our health and we've got an amazing show lined up for you. So this week we're going to kick the show off with the Simply Tarot card of the week. Now this is a rather powerful card, I suppose, if I can describe it as that. It's one of the major arcana cards. It's called the Hierophant. Now, a lot of people look at this card and they say, what an ambiguous card. How would that fit into my life? So let me just share with you the basic meaning of what the Hierophant is about. It's about marriage. It's a card that represents government, public company, body corporations, official buildings, or any official situation that is now entering our lives. So, yes, it's not necessarily a personal card as such, but it is sort of informing us that many of us during the next week will have cause to maybe deal with something official or visit an official building or maybe look at some area of our lives that needs something worked on or something resolved in our lives. So it is a very official card. On a much bigger scale, I thought this was a very appropriate card with everything that's going on around the world at the moment and the world's eyes. If you're not worrying about weather events, you're now really looking at what's happening on the Korean Peninsula and wondering what the next move is. Look, I never make predictions about anything like that, and I'm certainly not going to start today. But I actually feel this is an apt card when we're looking at official situations in our lives. So maybe the Hierophant has come out for a reason. It's come out on a very personal level, but I think it's also come out on a global level, representing the weather events and the discord that's in the world at the moment at whether or not things are going to escalate on the Korean Peninsula or not. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we can get a peaceful resolution. Now, that takes me into the next part of the show, where each week I talk a little bit about what's happening astrologically as we glimpse what's happening in our universe. And this week I'd like to focus on a couple of areas, one being, number one, hip hip hooray, Mercury, the planet of communication, is stationary and is about to go direct again. We can all breathe a sigh of relief that now people will suddenly start to have their listening ears back on, and communications and things like that should be a lot clearer. Travel, destinations, not losing your luggage, all those sort of things. Our computers should start to not play up anymore. We shouldn't lose our phone and all the other vital areas of communication that can go awry with a Mercury retrograde, which happens about 3 times a year. But it also brings me to the point where we still have Mercury, the planet of communication, as I said, stationary, which is getting ready to go forward again, is still sitting in Leo, but it's also holding hands with the planet Mars. Now, Mars is sitting in the next sign of Virgo. Now, Mars in traditional terms in astrology can be seen as the planet of war. It can also be seen as the planet of action and moving things along in our lives. So, again, I feel that this is very appropriate with what's happening on the Korean Peninsula, is that we have communication about the conflict that could possibly develop there, but maybe, just maybe, if I can be extremely positive and sort of say astrologically, while we've got the planet of communication just about to go direct again and holding hands with Mars, maybe we're going to have some breakthroughs on the world stage with everybody sitting down and looking at what this means collectively for the globe. not just, somebody wanting to flex their muscles and sort of show off a little bit. Maybe it's time that the world got together and sort of put behind their egos and sort of say, can we get a resolution here? Fingers crossed that's what's going to happen. Now, it's really, really interesting as we sort of see the zodiac sort of dancing around the place, and what we're working with is transits. And that's when the planets are sort of dancing around our solar system and dancing around the zodiac constantly, that we have the changes in the astrological forecasts and the things that sort of happen. And part of these transits that happen constantly, 365 days of the year, is where we get our moon cycles from. Now, I'm really excited to talk about this week that we have the full moon in Pisces. Now, the full moon is always a time to me of letting go, of releasing emotions, of releasing anything that's outlived in our life, things that we no longer need. Now, interestingly enough, when anything's in the Pisces energy, it's the final sign of the zodiac. It's the 12th sign of the zodiac. So it's a real sort of major purge happens when we have anything here in Pisces, but it can also be an incredibly creative time, a time when we really all tap into ourselves and try and find answers that are buried deep down inside of us. So again, I feel this bodes well for everything that's happening around the globe at the moment. It may not be necessarily the most perfect time when we're talking about summer storms and hurricanes and things like that, because Pisces is a water energy. So I don't necessarily sort of tie weather events into the astrological movements of the planets, but some astrologers do, and that's a completely different specialised area of work that I've never bothered to go into. There's so many areas of astrology, you can't specialise in everything, and I like to work with people. So the full moon in Pisces is asking each and every one of us, is there anything that we need to release, that we need to let go of? Have we completed our projects? Have we completed things to this point that maybe we can release and say, okay, this is a time where I can sort of reflect a little bit. I can look at how far I've come in the last 12 months. Have I achieved everything that was on my agenda? Am I ready to release a few things? And am I ready to have a little bit of a rest and sort of regather my momentum and get ready for the new moon, the new moon that'll be coming in 2 weeks, but also the new full moon that'll be happening next month, which will start another 12-month cycles of full moons. So it's a really exciting time, I believe, astrologically, as, the Northern Hemisphere is heading into their fall and autumn time of the year. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're heading into spring. So it's a very important change of seasons, and I think that always brings renewed interest and excitement when we have a change of seasons and a change of energy. So I'm now going to focus on our new 4-part series, and I'm very excited to talk about this one, as I am with all of them, but Jupiter is just one of my favourite planets, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, opportunity, luck and improvements in our life. And I think we could all do with a little bit of cheering up at the moment and have something positive to look forward to in our lives. So Jupiter, as I said, is the planet of expansion. And unfortunately, girls, I'm going to say it can be the planet of expanding waistlines too. So if you happen to have Jupiter very close to the ascendant or the descendant, which is one of the major lines in the chart, you quite often find people that have it close to either the descendant or the ascendant, they can find that they have a yo-yo in weight issues. They find it easy to put on weight and not so easy to take it off. So it's not necessarily an excuse. I'm just sharing with you a little bit of knowledge that I've amassed over the years in astrology, and I've seen this very many times that people have it, that particularly close to the descendant, have a problem with removing weight, and it's not necessarily that they overeat, it's just their body shape and their body genetics denotes that that's what will happen. So yes, anything that we have that we can bring into our lives that is expansion or opportunities, yes, of course we can have excesses. So we do need to be aware that Jupiter can bring the rewards and can bring opportunities and can bring the openings that we're looking for, but we also have to make sure that we don't become too greedy and don't share our good fortune with others that are important to us in our lives. So Jupiter in Aries actually feels very comfortable here, because Jupiter is the opportunities planet. It likes things to be fresh and new and different. And the Aries energy that we've talked about many times is me first. Let's get moving. It's motivation. It's let's get projects started, let's get the enthusiasm rocking and rolling. And so it really feels comfortable there in Aries. So it's if you've got Jupiter in Aries, you've got opportunities there that can sort of come literally out of nowhere because you've been the person that's looked for them. You haven't necessarily fallen into your lap. You have actually been out there actively seeking new opportunities. So we move on to the second sign, which is Jupiter in Taurus. Now, some astrologers sort of say Jupiter and Taurus don't necessarily go hand in hand. I would like to sort of look at it in a positive way and say I think they can do, because Jupiter can bring the opportunities. Jupiter can bring to your attention the potential of expanding any area of your life. Now, with the Taurus energy being sort of solid and practical and slow moving and very resolute, but also very focused usually on money and finances, they can join hands here and make opportunities really powerful, because you've got Jupiter sort of coming in all excited and saying, wow, look at what I've got for you, and Taurus saying, well, now hang on a minute, now let's slow down, let's just look at all the facts here, let's see how we can make this work. So it gives a stability factor to Jupiter to expand out our horizons and our opportunities in a very powerful and dynamic way. So yes, they do feel comfortable together. So our final sign that we're going to be looking at this week is Jupiter in Gemini. Now, Jupiter in Gemini are a little bit like odd bedfellows here, because Jupiter's bouncing around all over the place with great enthusiasm and excitement, but so is Gemini, because Gemini never likes to be outdone. Gemini's always looking for that next opportunity, always looking and poking their nose into areas that maybe sometimes other people consider that they're not minding their own business, they're minding everybody else's. But the Gemini energy is about versatility, is about not staying in one place too long, is about freshness, is about innovation and new things on the horizon. So they do go hand in hand together, but sometimes I think that they can sort of get a little bit bogged down where they're in competition with each other, instead of joining forces and seeing what amazing opportunities can come by working together. They sort of are in this competition and sort of trying to drown each other out. So they have to be a little bit careful, if you've got Jupiter in Gemini, that you're not fighting with yourself, or you're not self-sabotaging yourself and the opportunities that can come your way. So next week we'll go on to part 2, where we will look at the signs going through Cancer, Virgo and Leo. So I look forward to joining you next week with that. So we're going to take our first caller, and it's Jackie from Pembroke in Ontario, Canada. Are you there, Jackie?
I am.
How can I help you today, Jackie? Hi, do you have a question for me?
I just want to know if, what's going to happen in the next few months with my career.
Okay, Jackie. All right, the first thing that they're showing me is that there's still some question marks sitting around this. So I still feel that we don't necessarily have all the information to be able to make informed choices or informed decisions yet. So I'd be sort of suggesting to you, Jackie, to just sort of slow down your thinking a little bit. Let's see what comes out in the next 2 weeks. Let's see what comes towards you. And then I think we'll be in a position of power. I feel by the end of the month, I think there's going to be some decisions to be made. Have you been looking at the potential of maybe changing companies? Because that's what I'm seeing on the horizon, sort of will I, won't I, is it the right time, or should I stay where I am? And it's sort of like these questions will have answers in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I feel. So have you been sort of thinking of changing your job?
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah, but has there been other people that have sort of suggested to you that maybe this is not the right time?
No, I'm just myself.
Just yourself. Look, I mean, I always believe that we don't have these thoughts come into our mind for no reason. They're always there for a reason. It's our own psychic ability starting to rev up and say to us, okay, let's get ready for a change. You know, if we didn't have those thoughts, we wouldn't be changing. So it's not necessarily does it say we've got to act on them straight away. What I am feeling is I don't feel that you're going to change your job before November, but I do feel it wouldn't hurt to start looking and see what's out in the marketplace and see whether or not you need to upgrade any skills or need to take on any extra training to put you in a better position. Because when you make the change, I want to see you making a change for the right reasons, that not just because I'm bored or I'm a bit tired of where I am, or I want something fresh in my life. I want it to be a definite change with a purpose. Like, I'm making the change because not only can I earn more money, but I can see myself heading in a direction that's going to enhance my career. Where you are now, I sort of almost feel that you've gone as far as you can go with that current position. I don't really see any wiggle room there for sort of promotion or opportunity to get into something that's going to satisfy you going forward. And I feel this is the main reason why you've been questioning whether or not it's time to move on. So the answers are coming. But I think you're really in a very strong position, Jackie. As long as you sort of look into it, I can't see you making a mistake. But the next job I can see, a little bit closer to home, not much, but a little bit closer to home, certainly more money. But the bigger picture is that I feel that there's more potential there for job changes and promotions, going forward. And I feel that's the most important part, is being able to be in that position. Have you also been sort of working towards making other changes in your life this year, Jackie? Because what I'm seeing around you, it's like you've gone through everything in your life with a fine-tooth comb, from your clothing through to your friends, through to how I want to look, what I'm putting in my mouth. It's sort of like been a really big year of shifts and changes for you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but that's good, because that's been getting you ready for, to be able to make this sort of decision. But has there also been a disappointment there with somebody that you were really close to that you've had to let go of for one reason or another?
No, not lately.
They showed me it connected with a male, and I wasn't necessarily going to say a romantic situation. It just seemed to be somebody that had been in your life a long time, a good friend, somebody that was really important to you, and it was like you had to finally realise that situation was coming to an end.
I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I'll leave that with you, Jackie, but what they showed me was it wasn't a romance. It was somebody that I felt had been in your life for a long time, like a good male friend. And it was whether their life had changed and they were going in a different direction, but it was like the friendship itself now was complete. It was like it was time to let go of that.
All right.
So if it hasn't happened yet, just, keep your eyes out. If something like that happens, you'll know that it's the right time. Sometimes people move on and make changes in their lives and, we're going to keep in touch, and, over time things sort of dissipate. It may just be something like that, but whatever it is, it's the right time for that ending. So I wish you well, Jackie, and I know you'll do very well.
All right.
Thank
you very much.
Okay, we're going to go to our next caller, which is Debbie I better put my glasses on for this one, Vestral in New York, USA. How can I help you, Debbie?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Debbie. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I do. I have been going through some, many misfortunes for a couple years now. And I just would like to know if there's an end coming to it, if it's going to change.
Debbie, I'm sorry to hear that, but if I can sort of try and turn this into a positive for you, every time we go through what we consider changes that we didn't necessarily instigate or want in our lives, and we see them as a struggle or bad luck or misfortune or whatever label we want to put on it, we don't realise that this is part of our character building. This is part of our soul starting to evolve. It's actually something that we've signed up for before we draw breath, that we've come here to do a certain amount of lessons, and we sort of question and we think, well, why would I have set myself up for that? Well, we do. And I feel what's been happening for you in this last, I'd go more than 2 years, Debbie. I'd go sort of closer to 3. It's been like you've been shedding layers of yourself. It's been like you've had to really confront everything. And I mean go deep down into your soul and even question who you are, where you're going. Why did I attract this person? Why did I attract this sort of job? Why did I lose money on this? And it's been sort of like a lot of things haven't necessarily had an answer that you would have been comfortable with, but, you know, it happened. And sometimes things are just like that. They do just happen, because we're not meant to see the signs or the warning signs beforehand. We're meant to actually confront it as a new situation and not have any prior warning, so that we can get the correct ending. And that's when karma steps into something. When something like that happens that we didn't see coming, and it's like, wow, where did that come from, and why did that have to happen, and I wasn't prepared for it. You know, that's a karmic event or a karmic situation that we had to go through. Having said all that, what they're showing me is from October, which is only weeks away now, you will start to see the pendulum swing back the other way, Debbie, where I feel we're going to go into a fairly lengthy period where things are starting to move back towards you, where luck is starting to come, if you want to use that word, coming back your way, where things are starting to become easier. Your life will start to become full again. You literally sort of had to let go of almost everything, did you not, Debbie?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Did you literally have to make that many changes in your life that it was almost like you let go of nearly everything in your life?
Absolutely. I literally did let go of everything in my life, every possession I have. I'm currently living in my car, but I do have a job.
Well, that's a start, isn't it, Debbie? That's a positive start. You've got a job, so things can only get better. And this is a good thing. Without going into your astrology, my educated guess would be you've gone through what's known as a progressed moon in Scorpio, so where we sort of literally, if you're a tree, we prune you at the roots and we start again. But, you know, yours was very intense, and I feel from here on, things are going to start to get better. Look, Debbie, I don't feel you're going to be living in your car for much longer. I feel in the next couple of weeks there will be an opportunity there to put you back into somewhere with a roof over your head and hot and cold running water and all those amazing mod cons. But it's been a very complex for you, Debbie. Well, I think you've learnt so much about yourself and people, have you not?
Yes.
And you've also learnt now to follow your own instincts, haven't you?
Yes, and I do realize that it's been truly a character builder, and you know, I mean, it's taught me a lot, but it's getting very old. You know, it's getting old because it's just been so hard.
Yes, darling, I understand that, but the character building that you've been through, I think, has been magnified many, many times over, more than what, you know, most souls would have to go through. But on the positive side, look at the wisdom that you've gained out of all this. And this next, you know, I don't think you'll ever experience anything like this again in the rest of your life. So even though you feel that it's physically aged you, it's given you wisdom, it's given you new insight, and you have different ways now that you look at the world and how you view things, and the types of people that you will attract and allow into your inner circle will be very different. They'll be very genuine, down-to-earth, rock-solid sort of people from here on in. You had a lot of people that were taking things from you constantly.
Yeah, they were soul suckers.
Yeah, they were. So, you know, all those holes now have been plugged up. You know, that's not going to ever happen again. But 2018 is certainly going to be a much more powerful year for you as far as finances are concerned anyway. You'll sort of feel like you're really rocketing along, you know, somewhere to live and really gaining control of your life and money coming in and really getting yourself back on the track again. But it's interesting how that having let go of all your possessions, that this time round you won't gather as many. You know, you have a different way of looking at what's absolutely necessary on the material world now, which is good too.
Absolutely, right, because I was doing well, you know, I was, you know, doing very good for myself, but, you know, like you said, my way of thinking was pretty much what caused the situation I'm in, you know, and it's exactly right.
But, Debbie, also the things that have happened for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Like they happened because they had to. And now you're going to go on, I feel, and help other people, which is the most important thing. You know, there will be something really good that will come out of this. So I can only wish you well, Debbie, and I know that you're on the path, and just keep going strongly, because everything is going to go the way that it's meant to go from here on in, Debbie, and it's amazing. So I'd like to sort of take this opportunity to thank everybody that's called into the show tonight. It's always wonderful to work with everybody from around this amazing planet of ours. Next week we'll feature our second part of Jupiter going through the signs. As I said earlier, we're going to be looking at Cancer, Leo and Virgo. We'll certainly have our Simply Tarot card of the week, and we'll also have a glimpse of what's happening in this amazing universe of ours. But I'd like to sort of, again, please, let's send our prayers to Texas and to everybody else that's going through weather events, not just in the US of A, but everywhere around this amazing planet of ours. Please, let's send our loving energy and our prayers to people to help them to get through these crises. And most importantly, let's hope they diffuse the Korean Peninsula threat as well, because we need to be really focusing on the more important issues, which is climate change, I think, is and being a better person. That's what we need to be focusing on, not all this other turmoil. So it's been my absolute pleasure to work with you again. If you have any questions, please message me over at Amanda Hall Psychic on Facebook, and I'll see you all again real soon. And don't forget to be kind to each other, because that's what being alive is about, is being kind. Do something random, open a car door, smile, help somebody, because that makes the world a much, much better place. And that's what we're all here for, is to shed some love and light and help each other, not to try and destroy things. Have a great week and see you next week. Bye for now.